The Boston Celtics are only 9 games into the new season, and already the headlines are exploding. A 4-5 start has turned every spotlight toward one man, Joe Mazzulla. But what Derek White revealed this week might be the wildest coaching tactic we've seen in the NBA this year. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the hype button so you don't miss the next bomb from Boston. Now let's talk about what just happened inside the Celtics practice facility. According to Derek White, Joe Mazzulla has once again done something that's left players and fans speechless. The man who once revolutionized Boston's offensive mindset with his obsession for three-pointers has now turned practice into something that feels more like a psychological experiment than basketball training. During a recent session, White said Mazzulla ordered the music to start. But instead of the usual playlist, the entire gym filled with the sound of machine guns firing non-stop. That's right, not a beat, not a melody. Just the rapid, relentless noise of combat echoing through the court. White described it on his White Noise podcast, saying, "Joe's like, play the music, and next thing you know, it's just machine guns going off." I'm like, what is going on? The entire time we did this drill, the sound never stopped. It wasn't random. It was Mazzulla's message. Every shot, every possession, every defensive stand should feel like a battle. This was about pressure, chaos, and mental toughness. About training the mind as much as the body. And whether you think it's genius or madness, one thing's clear. It's pure Joe Mazzulla. The Celtics head coach has always challenged traditional logic. Reporters get his cold, clipped answers. Analysts question his choices. But his players? They know he's building something deeper. A culture where focus under fire is everything. And this season, after losing key names and depth, Boston needs that mindset more than ever. But here's where the real story begins. This isn't just about a strange drill. It's about a transformation. A test. Mazzulla is shaping this roster into a team that thrives in discomfort. One that won't flinch when the pressure hits its peak. And after their statement win over Washington, the question now is how far this philosophy can take them. Because if Joe Mazzulla is turning his players into soldiers, how long until that mentality explodes onto the court in a way the league isn't ready for? And when it does, will anyone in the NBA be able to stop the chaos he's creating in Boston? Celtics are standing at a dangerous crossroads. A record of 3 wins and 5 losses has shaken a fan base that expected dominance. And now the growing noise is clear. Some fans are demanding a trade, calling for a new center to fix the team's rebounding nightmare. But the real question is not who they should trade for. It's whether saving this season is even worth the price of the future. Let's start with the obvious. Rebounding has become Boston's Achilles heel. They rank 29th in defensive rebounding percentage, 28th in opponent offensive rebounds, and 25th in second chance points allowed. Every time the Celtics lose the battle on the glass, they lose the game. And yes, part of it is depth. Part of it is the absence of Jason Tatum's nearly 9 rebounds per night. But the problem runs deeper than that. It's not effort. It's structure. The team simply lacks size and consistency down low. Neemias Queta has been a pleasant surprise, but let's be honest. He's not the long-term solution. That has led to a wave of trade proposals online, from Naz Reid of Minnesota to other role-playing bigs across the league. The idea sounds tempting. Get help now, before the season slips away. But that logic could destroy everything Boston has built. A mid-season move for a center means giving up first-round picks, the same picks that could land a young, cost-controlled talent next June. It also means taking on contracts that could push the Celtics back above the league's dreaded second apron, a move Brad Stevens has worked hard to avoid. And let's be real. No center available right now is going to turn Boston into an instant title contender. That player does not exist. The only trade that makes sense is one that wins now and later. A player who can contribute today and still be a difference maker once Tatum returns from his ruptured Achilles tendon. But those players are rare, expensive, and almost never available mid-season. The painful truth is that patience might be the smartest move. The Celtics still own their pick in what scouts are calling one of the deepest draft classes in years. A tough season could translate into a valuable asset, a young piece who grows with the core rather than replacing it. The Warriors tried this strategy in 2019 when injuries derailed their run. It didn't work for them because their pick, James Wiseman, never fit. But Boston's front office has proven to be more disciplined and strategic than most. So here's the reality. Boston must choose between a short-term patch and a long-term plan. The temptation to act now is real, but the danger of sacrificing the future is greater. This season may test the patience of fans and executives alike. Yet, the true measure of this franchise isn't how they react in panic, but how they prepare for what comes next. Because if the Celtics trade away their future for a temporary fix, what will be left when the smoke clears? And more importantly, how much of Boston's future greatness would be lost trying to save a single season? The Boston Celtics have just made a quiet but significant move. R.J. Luis Jr., one of the most intriguing offseason additions, is gone. The team has officially waived the young forward, a decision first reported by Noah Dalzell of Celtics blog. But behind this headline, there's more than just a roster cut. There's a story of timing, strategy, and uncertainty about Boston's next steps. R.J. Luis Jr. was expected to be a long-term project for Boston. The 6'7" wing arrived in an off-season trade with the Utah Jazz, a move primarily designed to clear salary by moving Georges Niang's contract. To make it happen, the Celtics had to include a second-round pick. It was a quiet transaction at the time, but one that carried the potential of finding hidden value in a young, athletic prospect. However, Luis's journey with Boston barely started. After going undrafted and signing a two-way contract, he suffered an injury requiring surgery that will sideline him for an extended period. That left the front office with a difficult decision: keep an unavailable player on the payroll, or create roster flexibility in a season that already feels unstable. Brad Stevens and his staff chose the latter. And just like that, Luis was waived before ever putting on a Celtics jersey in a regular season game. Still, the door may not be completely closed. Sources indicate the Celtics could look to bring him back through their G League affiliate in Maine once he recovers. The organization values his defensive instincts, wingspan, and the potential to develop into a versatile perimeter defender. That's not nothing. In college, Luis averaged over 1 steal per game for 3 straight seasons, using his 6'10" wingspan to disrupt passing lanes. He was also a consistent downhill threat, leading St. John's with 18.2 points per game under Rick Pitino. Beyond his game, Luis made history as the first Ecuadorian player in the NBA, earning recognition from Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa earlier this year. He brought not just talent, but international significance to the Celtics brand. Losing that kind of story is not something the team takes lightly. The Maine Celtics are now preparing for the G League season under new head coach Phil Prezi. The roster already includes names like Wendell Moore Jr., Kendall Brown, and Jalen Bridges, along with Boston's two-way players Ron Harper Jr., Amari Williams, and Max Shulga. Adding Luis to that mix, once healthy, could give the program another boost. But this move also raises deeper questions. Was this purely a medical decision or part of a larger plan to reshape the bottom of the roster? Could this indicate that Boston is clearing space for another signing or bracing for a trade in the coming weeks? R.J. Luis Jr. may return, but his release shows something larger about the Celtics' mindset right now. Every spot, every contract, every move counts. And as the team navigates a shaky start and mounting pressure, one has to ask, was this just a routine roster decision, or the first sign that Boston's front office is preparing for something much bigger to come? Celtics may be facing one of the toughest decisions of this season. Derek White, once seen as the perfect bridge between defense and versatility, is suddenly being talked about for all the wrong reasons. After 8 games in the 2025-2026 campaign, his performance has fallen short of expectations, and insiders are already whispering about something unthinkable. Could Boston actually move on from Derek White? Before we dive deeper, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the hype button, because what's happening behind the scenes could change everything for the Celtics. With Jason Tatum out and both Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis gone, White was supposed to become the stabilizing force. Instead, his numbers tell a concerning story. 14.4 points per game, shooting just 31% from the field and 26% from 3. Those are not numbers from a player expected to carry the offense of a championship-caliber team. And as much as head coach Joe Mazzulla defends him, insisting he values effort and leadership over stats, production matters when the team is losing. Boston's record now stands at 3 wins and 5 losses, with back-to-back defeats that have left fans frustrated and analysts questioning whether the problem is deeper than just shooting. White's inconsistency has raised alarms not only on the court, but inside the front office. Reports from Bleacher Report's Dan Favale suggest that the Celtics might not be buyers at the trade deadline, but sellers. And in that scenario, Derek White suddenly becomes the team's top trade asset. Favale went even further, claiming that Boston could land up to 3 first-round picks for the 31-year-old guard if they decided to pull the trigger. That idea would have sounded absurd months ago. The same player, once called untouchable by the organization, is now being discussed as the piece that could reset Boston's financial and competitive future. But here's where things get even more complicated. White's value depends on his current play, and right now, his offense is nowhere near the level that would justify a massive trade return. His defense remains elite, but age is catching up, and every game without Tatum exposes how much he struggles to create his own shot under pressure. The question haunting Boston right now is whether to cut losses early or double down on trust. White thrives when surrounded by star power, when he doesn't have to carry the scoring load. The Celtics know this, and history shows he rises when playing next to Tatum and Brown. But how long can the front office wait before patience turns into risk? If Boston keeps sliding and White's form doesn't recover, the pressure to act will only grow. A move this drastic could signal a shift in direction, a reshaping of priorities that no one saw coming. So the real question tonight is simple but unsettling. Are the Celtics preparing to part ways with Derek White, a player once seen as part of their long-term core? Or will they choose to weather the storm, trusting that once Tatum returns, White will return to being the heartbeat of this team? Whatever the answer is, the clock is ticking, and the decision could define the future of the Boston Celtics. So stay tuned, drop your like, subscribe, and hit the hype button because this story is just getting started.